Hi, I'm Dr. Angie Eilers, the founder of Your Turn, which is student guidance software for high school students and their families, as well as for busy educators. You could think of us as like the Fitbit for education tracking. We ask students to set education goals, including high school graduation, post-secondary education goals, and career pathway goals, and then we track their progress toward those goals. If students get off track, we push out alerts to let the parents and the students know whether students are missing too much school and putting them at risk of failing classes or if they're missing important credits. I'm going to show you a few use cases of our application, which plugs into your student information systems. And if you're a Google user, it's simple to plug in and use as a add-on to your student information data system. And what our educators experience every day is a high-level summary of things that they should be paying attention to, including attendance concerns, credit concerns, but in the good news category, progress where students are setting goals and have established a career pathway. And over the course of time, these buckets should fill up with students' names as they set goals, and hopefully over time, these buckets reduce students' names because it indicates they're missing less school and they're missing fewer credits. So as you know from research that when students miss 10% or more of school, it puts them at risk of failing courses. And if they fail courses, of course, that puts them at risk of not graduating high school on time, not having enough credits. So we track those things first and foremost. I also want to point out that everything you see on the screen in blue is a clickable, actionable item. So let's take a look at one of the students who's missing too many days of school. And with each student's name, you'll get a high-level summary of a variety of important details that you should be aware of, including their GPA, their attendance, whether they've set goals, and whether they're on track of those goals. So while Alexander has been missing a little too much school, which may be affecting his GPA, he has been staying on track with the credits that he needs to finish high school in time. He's tracking along his educational credits, and he has set additional goals, such as a 2-year technical college, and he's set a career pathway goal in the business track. And he's doing pretty well. He's kind of on the bubble, so he's worth paying attention to, but that gives you an idea of what you get to see behind every student's name. Furthermore, you can click on students' different ways of sorting them through maybe graduation year or establishing tags. And tags are a way that you might separate out your students depending on how you sort out your hundreds of students that are assigned to you. And then from those search priorities, you can then see a list of students that are associated with the way you've sorted your students, including the all-important graduating from high school. We've set high school graduation as a default goal for everyone, so that's established for everyone, and you may want to track those students who are off track of graduating high school in time. Or you could track the number of students who have attendance concerns or whether they've set other goals, career pathways, that sort of thing. So this is a sorting tool so that you can see students very specifically as opposed to the high-level summary on the console. Additionally, you can help set goals for the students. We've, like I've said, built in high school graduation as a default goal for everyone. We pull the high school graduation requirements from your school system's student information system, and then we have that established for all the students. But they can set additional goals, including 2-year and 4-year colleges and universities, as well as career pathways. Again, because everything that's blue is clickable, you can create university or college that you know that a lot of your students attend, and then very simply just add the parameters that are associated with the enrollment in that particular college or university and create a new goal. So now the students have these lists of options that you've created with them, and I'll show you how that shows up on their individualized dashboard. Additionally, you can add other educators very simply, just your colleagues by adding their email and they get an automatic account. These are the tags that I mentioned. You may want to create different ways that you know you sort and separate out your students for your organizational purposes. You can add additional schools to your districts, and you can run reports. You can see who's set goals and whether they're on track of those goals, whether there are concerns around those goals. These are all the printable reports for you. And as I said, we'll jump into looking at some of the details behind each of the students. You've got access to goals that they've set for themselves, and then any trouble spots that are concerning for them. So let's take a look at Jack. He's set some goals. He's doing pretty well. He's just got this one university, which may be a stretch for him, and that might be a fun conversation to have with him. Like, Jack, you could do it. If you don't miss any more school, you can get your GPA up. As well, you can send notes to Jack, either public notes that will show up on his dashboard. So you might say, let's discuss Duke University, and that will show up on his dashboard so that his parents and he knows that you've reviewed his dashboard and you want to communicate with him. You can also create private notes, which is just for your sake, for your memory, some running record. And that way you can remember the last thing you all talked about or whatever the case. And this is just another way for you to keep record of, for your sake, for the hundreds of students that you work with. Additionally, you can see where Jack's been enrolled in the past, who his guardians are. Here are the tags. The tag option is you may want to add Jack to the football team, for example. You could pull from a list that's already been created or create a new tag. And that way, when you go to sort out students, you can approach the way of sorting your students that way. And then finally, let's say Jack is in your office and he says, you mentioned Duke, let's talk about it. You can pull up his dashboard the way that he views it, and that way he and you can be on the same page. So when Jack logs on to his dashboard and or his parents, this is how they view it. This is a high-level, clean, simple, easy to understand dashboard of what goals Jack has set and how he's tracking toward those goals. So as we said, high school graduation is a default goal for everyone. He's added a couple of other colleges and universities, and he's got this one that is a reach goal perhaps for him, but it might give him some aspirations to work a little harder. He has set his career pathway as a business career pathway, and he's tracking along on those credits really nicely. And then he can see the notes that you've put out to him that show up on his dashboard about discussing Duke or whatever the case. These are dates of when you all talked and follow-up notes. And then finally, just like you can see, the family and Jack can also see the credit summary of courses he's taken currently and in the past and how he's tracking toward all the credits that he needs for graduation. There's a little key down here to help interpret what the progress bar means, the target, and the progress toward that goal. Additionally, maybe a coach or a step parent can be added so that others can view his dashboard if he'd like to invite others to mentor him as he sets and works towards his goals. And finally, he can add more goals if he'd like. He can pull from the list that you've worked with him on as a group, or maybe he wants to consider additional colleges and universities that don't appear on the list that you've discussed. And he can also remove colleges and universities day in and day out. This is these analytics are done on the fly, so he may one day wake up and say, no, I only really want to go to Duke, or the next day he could wake up and say, nope, I really want to consider these other technical colleges as an option for me, and it at least gives them some immediate feedback on his eligibility for certain colleges and universities. He can remove and add these all day long. But let's say he's still interested in Duke. We've also built in what's called a what-if calculator. This is an idea to give kids some visual feedback about what it takes to reach their goals. So for example, Jack can play around with the what-if calculator on his GPA, and now he sees that it's going to take a 3.9 for him to be eligible for Duke. He's right now at a 3.2, so he's got some work to do. But it may be inspiring for him to know that if he puts a pedal to the metal, he may still have a chance at being eligible for Duke. This is all about college eligibility and not admissions. And then finally, playing around with the attendance calculator is also important. Students need to see that missing more than 10% of school is putting them at risk of failing courses and potentially not meeting any of their goals if they don't finish high school. So staying above 90% is an important goal for all students. So this is a glance again of how the students experience their dashboard. that they can add and take away goals all day long, that they can track their progress in their credits and their career pathways, and that the educators can track the number of students that they want to be paying attention to and encourage students to set goals and move along their education pathway. Thanks very much for your time. And again, please check us out at yourturn.org, where we can set up a demo or you can download further information about our product and services. I look forward to hearing from you. Thank you.